everyone. Any last stragglers coming in? Cindy, I see you behind. We'll wait for it. Good evening, everyone. Are you all awake? Oh, let's try it again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Much better. Okay, thank you. My name is Christian Nunes, and I'm the National Vice President for the National Organization for Women. And I just want to thank you all for coming out this evening and coming to celebrate with us and just with networking and understanding and supporting immigration rights. Thank you for supporting the Unlock the Future campaign. Today we are here to have a wonderful discussion, not only just network, but have a discussion about organizing and face resistance. So we have some wonderful panelists who will also be speaking tomorrow at our rally at 1 p.m. at the Waterworks at Buffalo Bio Park at the Hobby Family Pavilion. So we hope you all can make it out to that and bring 5 friends with you. Everyone can hear the wonderful people who will be speaking. So we're going to have some really nice, intimate conversation about organizing and what we're doing with our current political climate. We all know what's happening, and we've heard about the immigration bans, we've heard about the Muslim bans, we've heard about the families being separated. So we're going to talk about activism, we're going to talk about organizing, and we're going to find out from them their own personal stories and what they can encourage us all to take away from tonight so that we can continue this work in our own communities, okay? So I'm going to start off and introduce our panelists. We have Tia Oso, and Tia is an international known activist. She's familiar with her work within the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter. She does a lot of work around immigration, liberation. So we're excited to have her here. And she's a personal friend, so I'm really nice. And then we have Mr. Kendrick Sampson, actor and activist. He's also, the two of them, actually, Tia and Kendrick, co-founders of Build Power Initiative, which is a nonprofit that works with grassroots organizations to help leverage power to help educate on social justice issues. So we are very happy. You might have represented on TV as well, right? So we're happy to have you here via report as well. Thank you. Then we have the wonderful Ruby Powers. Ruby is a local here. She's an immigration rights attorney, and she is seeing it firsthand. And so she has lots of stories to tell and lots of input to give, and we want to hear from her what she's seeing working on some of these cases. So thank you so much, Ruby. And she has Ruby Powers Law. So in case you need somebody for your first one, Ruby Powers Law. We have. Then we have the wonderful Egberto Willis, and he is known as a bloggist, he's an editor, he's won awards, he has been all over the place, and so you come from Huffington Post, Daily Kos, lots of others, what else am I leaving out? But he's well known and recognized for his work in journalism, so we're excited to have him on there. And we're going to have a conversation to get started. So we now like to say that we stay ready. Well, that's what I like to say. So we're going to get ready, and I hope that you all get ready and you join us in this movement, okay? So to start off, I want you all to kind of share, like, what led you to become an activist? What brought you to activism?
Personally, I grew up with a lot of examples of activism in my own family. So my grandmother, my mom, both very active in the community as leaders, and so they are the ones that taught me that if I think that something is wrong, I should raise my voice and say something about it, and always encouraged me to do that. And then when I would, be disruptive and speak out, a lot of times when you're a little girl, especially a little black girl, it's not encouraged or admired for you to be loud and assertive and stand up for yourself. My mother always had my back and always advocated for me as well, so that also helped me, just find my voice and believe in myself. And then I've always just had like a strong sense of purpose around justice, and like whether it be, somebody being bullied or an issue in my community, always wanted to say something about it and do something about it and like work towards a solution. And so just from a very young age, I've always just had a sense of duty around like, if something is wrong, I want to make it right. And I'm adamant about the fact that it can be made right and somebody better do something about it, you know? So that's my own,
Yeah, similar. I think of our purpose on this earth has always been, you know, to be our brothers and sisters' keeper, to make sure everybody's okay. That, you know, whoever, if everybody's not okay, if one person's not okay, then everybody's not okay, that kind of thing. So, in the same way, I always, if something was broken, I needed to fix it. If it was, whether it was a necklace or a person, I, you know, did my best, and I could not stop until it was fixed. And it would give me anxiety, and so now, you know, I've transferred that into the grassroots space, but it was always somewhere in there. There have been different iterations of it. So yeah.
I would say something very similar to your stories. I have my grandparents were missionaries in Mexico, so they dedicated their whole life to service. And so I had that as an example for my life. And then my grandmother on the other side ran for office. You know, so we, you know, sometime in the 80s, so running for office later on in life as a woman in rural Missouri, that was a really strong role model for me. So I think along the same lines, when I see something wrong or broken, or you know, the voiceless are being trampled upon, or no one's fighting for them, that's where I step in. And I find the place that I need it the most. And I find that immigration seems to be that place a lot of the times because I'm having the cultural understanding, the language, having lived in 6 countries, knowing immigration law. And it just seems like the Trump administration's really put immigration attorneys to the test and pushed us to another level of our advocacy.
I'm an immigrant. I'm from Central America, so I came here and went to the University of Texas, and I would consider me a radical from the time I got here. I participated in all the South African Liberation Action Committee and all these different organizations. But after you got your degree, you know, you kind of you slacked off a bit. You're working for corporate America, and you just let things slide. Interestingly, I live in Kingwood, which is a very, very conservative area in Texas, in Houston. So while my daughter was in high school, I did absolutely nothing but blog under a pseudonym. And as soon as she moved on to the University of Texas, it was the time for me to open up. And the real me came out, and I decided, I remember at night one time saying, hey, somebody needs to do something about this. Somebody needs to do something about that. And I said, well, you know what? That somebody has got to be you. In other words, all of us, every single one of us here, every one of you that's here right now, that is what we said. You know, somebody has to do something, and that's what we're doing.
So how are you all staying motivated? How do you stay motivated in your activism and in this political climate? What keeps you motivated? Start with Ruby.
Well, I think it's easy to get overwhelmed because it's not like immigration law is changing, it's just your policies and the interpretation, and just what's constant is the war on immigration and the war on immigrants and the war on people who have the least amount to ability to fight for themselves here. So I think it's sort of like running a relay race, I guess. You sort of like, you go out there and then you got to sort of take a little break or something, you know, and you got your posse and your team and they're helping you out, but you can't be on the whole time. You go out, you do a week in Dilley or Clarence Detention or down the border or go to Matamoros, where you take some case that you know is going to launch you, and then you take a break. And so I think, and then you get that thank you. I had my law firm's 10-year anniversary on Thursday night, and asylum family that I helped get approved came, and they looked at me with so much admiration, and I realized, you know, that moment right there is going to get me going for another couple of months, and I just have to keep going. So.
I think it's like threefold, I guess. What keeps me motivated is having a plan. I know what I want to achieve by the end of my life, and that is a roadmap that consistently changes because I run into obstacles and road closures and shit. So that is like something that I can always look at and say, well, we haven't achieved this yet. But the other thing is the wins definitely motivate me, and sometimes the wins are just meeting like somebody like in high school that's changing the world around them more than I've ever done. Somebody who's undocumented, who has implemented policy here and they're not even a full citizen, like that type of stuff. The wins that they don't allow us to publicize, but they are wins, keep me motivated. And then community. So I think those are the three things. It's community, a roadmap, like a plan, goals. I tend to start with the end and move to now in terms of my planning out my goals. What do I want to achieve by the end? What are the practical steps to get there? And then the wins. The wins in community are hugely important.
I go under the premise that most people are good. And by going under the premise that most people are good, I have the ability to speak to everybody. I don't care whether it's left, right, middle, or whatever. And then I'm an optimist. So the first thing that gets to me is that nothing really depresses me. I always look at something as a challenge, something to overcome. And I think that kind of has to do with how I was reared back in Panama. But I tell you something that you said that's really touching, and that is, I talk a lot about Medicare for All and these other issues. And I remember the email that touched me the most was somebody sent me an email and said, I didn't even know this. My son would have died, but when I heard that show and I went and checked, what you said panned out, and now my kid has the care that they have. And whenever you get an email or a tweet or something, it tells you, hey, yeah, you're doing the right thing.
This is a tough question for me because I was a frontline organizer for 7 years and ended up experiencing burnout and a lot of like really, really hard emotional and like wellness issues as a result of like the constant attacks on immigrants. And my dad is an immigrant and I was working at immigrant rights at the same time. And then under this last election, we have a president who ran a platform like elect me because I hate immigrants, right? And because I hate Mexicans in particular, Muslims in particular. And so as somebody who was doing that work at the time, it was very, very hard for me. And it was disheartening for me to see this person rise to power on this like wave of hate. And so for me, I had to be able to admit that and admit that it was hard and admit that I was having a hard time with it, and really find a different way to contribute that didn't have me continue under these same conditions with like limited resources and then like exacerbated just the level of, it was already hard, and then under this administration it is exponentially harder, and on every level, like the experiences of people in detention, experiences of their families, trying to navigate the system. There's just now this new policy around charging people for their asylum applications, just really outrageously ridiculous. And so for me, I had to find my motivation by taking a step back and reconnecting with myself around what do I feel like is possible, who am I in community with, what are other gifts and talents and skills that I can contribute to the fight that don't have me, maybe I'm not in the same position, maybe I have a different position, and that there is somebody, young who has joined the movement are joining the movement in a different way, in a different iteration. He has the fire and enthusiasm for the front line right now while I reposition myself. And so for me it had to do with, I really had to admit that it's hard and admit that I wasn't okay doing the work the way that I was, and that I had to just reposition myself, and it has been very motivating and inspiring to find new ways to support the work. And I think that is also something that's is important for us to acknowledge, that, we try to say that, we're tireless, but that's not true. It is exhausting. And, I am tired. My old executive director at Baji said, he retired, and he's like, oh, I'm not retiring, I'm tired. Just admitting that. It's okay to admit that. And so the thing that motivates me is knowing that the work is, the arc of history is long and it bends toward justice, and I can bend the arc in a lot of different ways. And so it motivates me to know that change is happening and the fight is not thankless, and I can be in community with people, and I can make a difference in a lot of different ways. And then I just remember every day, at the core of who I am is this work. Like, it's my purpose, and so I can't not live my purpose. But that doesn't mean that, I don't get discouraged, because I do. And I think it's okay to talk about that.
You bring a great point. I think all your points is that, deep down, deep rooted, there's something about activism that's part of who you are. But at the same time, I think the experiences that we see in this world as we're watching unfold, especially with immigration and racial justice issues and racial injustice that's happening right here, and racial justice issues and causes we're doing, sometimes it kind of changes, and the issues that are happening start changing, like, kind of how we're feeling as a person and as an activist. So I want to know from you all, like, thinking about right now, we're here for Unlock the Future, which is about immigration and immigration rights and the justice that we're asking for women and girls who are being detained. And I know just hearing about the atrocities that are happening constantly and every day, and then new things are coming out, like trying to, get their DNA and testing, making and tracking little girls' periods and women's periods in detention centers. Things like that just really transform for me, This is sometimes how I want to approach my activism work. So that's my question for all of you. It's like, how has your activism transformed how you see your world and your relationship with others? I know that's a tough question. Yeah. Put it out there. Anybody can listen.
I can say that that's changed first of all, that that's changed my outcomes economically, because an activist is not an engineer. Okay, there's a substantial pay cut, so that is one of the most difficult things in activism. I'll just throw it out there.
Right. We want you to struggle with the movement, right?
And sometimes, when you do it completely on a voluntary basis, sometimes you ask the question, is it worth it? And we come back to that, and it comes back and it's like, damn it, yes, it's worth it, because you got kids, and it's not only your kid, right? But you go out there and you see. When I watch the news, I know all of you do the same thing. You watch the news, and you're like, damn, somebody has to do something about that. That's what keeps going in the head. It's like somebody's got to do something about it. So the reality is, it is difficult. The reality is, like Tia says, and by the way, Tia is tough. I met Tia in Arizona. She still has me going with the things that she did out there. But it is hard, but it is something that as she said, it's a part of you, and you just gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it changes. Okay, so I focus a lot on wellness of our communities, of our mental state, and something that we constantly ask each other is like, Are you good? Did you get any sleep? You know, those types of things, and trying to hold each other accountable in that, because we do think that, I think I can speak for both of us in saying we don't think that it should compromise our health. Try not to. It will. It will, and it has, but that doesn't necessarily mean it should. And so trying to go about it the healthiest way possible, realizing that we're putting ourselves in traumatic situations all the time. We're re-traumatizing ourselves telling the stories, and so that enough is exhausting with 8 hours of sleep. And so no, absolutely not. Normally I get like 2 1 hour, and so what I'm saying is with 8 hours of sleep, the work is exhausting. It's hard enough. So we need to take extra care of ourselves and realize that the movement moves without you, that you don't have to take on all the responsibilities, that there are other ways that, you know, you can bend the art, that you have many different talents. And to be honest, I'm realizing even recently that a lot of the way that we organize is colonized, right? That it is a different form. There are more creative ways that we can go about this, that we don't have to fall into a specific category or a specific role that's already been put out for us. Now, at the same time, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There are ways that work, but the way we fit in there is all very unique, and we can be constantly assessing that and assessing the healthiest way to go about that. And I talked to somebody recently, a buddy of ours that is running another organization, and she's doing really traumatic work, right? And she's working really hard, and she helped build this organization, if not built it really by herself, with good resources. But she worked really hard, and she lost 3 people in one day, a family that included a baby, right? And she was devastated, and she stepped away for a day, and she had hired somebody recently within the past year that was able to step in because she was trained well and take over without missing a beat. And she felt guilty about that. And she came back and she was like, these deaths have made me reconsider like my place and am I supposed to be here? I remember being in service and being under-resourced and like really getting my hands dirty and maybe I should go back to that, because right now I have like access to the best lawyers in the nation, and I walk into these places and they offer you food, and I have an associate that can step in and make this work seamlessly without, you know, missing a beat. And I was like, please stop. I was like, wait. I'm like, listen, if you're reconsidering your position in this, that's fine, but don't let it be that you buy into, or we buy into, the fact that we have the myth that we have to struggle and that we should be struggling in order to do this work, that we have to go about it in unhealthy ways, that we have to be under-resourced. That is not a thing. There is money enough for all of this. There's money enough for people in social justice, liberators, to be the highest paid people in the nation. There is enough money to go around for that. But we are taught that we need to be going after, especially when you're fighting for brown and black and indigenous stuff, or even smaller when it's black women, or it's black disability women, you know, disabled women, or whatever it is, differently able, and like these different like niche fundings, you know, funding pools, that we have to fight for that. But no, we are actually doing the work that liberates everyone. Because if we're liberated, right, everyone else is. You have to dismantle all other forms of oppression. So we shouldn't be fighting for that. We should be fighting for more. We deserve more. And if we do build something successful, we don't have to step away from it and be, you know, under-resourced and struggling and tired. You know, we're gonna be tired anyway. Like at least with the good resources, and we don't have to feel guilty about things working well. You know.
I think that my work